What's today? Today's the 23rd, 2013. Morning vlog. Old MJG 8-ball in the background. Courtesy of Rod Hall. Flint. Operation Save Flint. Speaking of Rod Hall, let me tell you about Walk Through South. Crazy how that ended up. Really had no idea about 8-ball and MJG until Rod put me on to him. Saw him but didn't know about him, But Walk Through South, as you know, walk through INC, groundbreaking mentorship program, created for the JUCO athlete, initially, and then the walkthrough turned into, you could say it birthed scrimmage line mentoring and consulting, focusing on mental health. Two separate things. I keep saying that just to make sure people know. I know it's the beginning, at least, of exposure to the world, but I'm going to talk about Walk Through South. And I know my roots, is the South. We all came from the South, really. Most of my family is Arkansas. Family in Alabama. Arkansas mostly, though. But I met Rod Hall up at EWU, Eastern Washington University, in '96, my senior year. Rod came from Michigan, Flint. I heard it every day. I said Flint Beecher every day. So then I knew what Flint Beecher was. I started saying Flint Beecher, and I'm not even from Flint Beecher. But, he was probably the first person I ever met from Detroit area. I know Flint is not in Detroit, so make sure that's clear. I know he probably gonna watch this video. Make sure he say Flint. So, only knowledge that I knew in reference to Detroit, Michigan, anything was Beverly Hills Cop. That's all I knew. I just knew Eddie Murphy was crazy. Man, Rod, I was like, man, this dude is wild. Wildest dude I ain't the wildest dude I know, but I was like, man, this dude right here is what they feed each other with that kind of water they drinking in Flint. And now as an adult, I've been able to go to Flint because of Rod, go to Michigan because of Rod. So, much love to Rod for that. That's my brother since day one. So I met him in '96, Eastern Washington. Met a lot of good people up there. I was very fortunate, blessed to make some lifelong connections. Some good people, playing football, even those that didn't play football. And let me get out of here. I'm get hit by that car. But so we go '96, we played, and then Rod came from a JC, I believe it was Grand Rapids, JC in Michigan, and it's connected, man. Brothers from another. I got a few of those that I met up there, up in Eastern Washington, man. So always, no matter what, I met some good people. I keep saying that for a reason, because all you JC guys out there that don't want to leave home because it's different, you don't want to go to an environment, for whatever reason. It might be far from home, it might be cold in the winter, you might not want to go to a university that's different from a cultural aspect, social aspect. I went to a university that was historically predominantly white, and that's hard for some, in particular, to be specific. That's hard for some black males to go to an environment that is all white. It's flat out. There's an adjustment. It's an adjustment for everyone. If you go into an environment where you are the minority, in that specific environment, there's an adjustment. So no one is immune to that. That's another topic, another video, another day. But Rod came out there, he was an inspiration. I believe he won the inspiration award for the team, and it made sense, man. You playing the game, crowd, whatever, teammates. You heard his voice, and that was big for him because I know he wasn't playing as much as he really wanted to play. That's just how things go sometimes. But he still stayed in the game. He inspired each other with his words. Always. That's why, the team voted him as most inspirational. And he did that, man, but, he made a decision to get up out of there. We all got to make decisions. He made that decision. So, from like 90, I think that was 97, he cut. He touched the gravel and went down to Alabama. By the way, my grandfather, my mom's side, he was from Detroit. Spent time in Detroit, so it's crazy how things work. Faith always wins, and I think that upstairs always put us in the right place. Put people in our lives that we need to be around. To backtrack a little bit, I didn't even know that I had family that had been in Detroit. Never knew that all my life until I went to Detroit. 2010 and go to Ferris State versus Northwood to go see one of my mentees out there play a game. Support them. But so left 97. We stayed in contact over the years. In the traffic. He living his life, living mine. Living mine, and always, we just stayed in contact. It was always one of those things where didn't have to necessarily talk to him every day to still be friends. And to me, that's a real friend. You don't have to necessarily talk to them every day. Have to. That's a test of a friendship. Some friends you do talk to every day because that's just what it is. He's a real friend. So 10 years passed. I hadn't seen him since. 8 minutes. I gotta cut this short. But I hadn't seen him in 10 years, and life played itself out to where I made a trip to Alabama for the first time. And it just so happened that when I went to Alabama, it was the day before Nick Saban's first game coaching at the University of Alabama. And he had been telling me for years, you need to get down to Alabama, you need to check this out. He had a movement going, he had a big thing going out there. He had a big thing going on out there, and I was out here coming from the ground up out here, in the Bay Area. And I finally went out there. So I went out there the night before Nick Saban's first game, Alabama, versus I think it was like Western Carolina. And it was nothing that I had never seen in my life before. That football in the SEC, football in the South is a different beast, and it is a beast. It was one of the best times I ever had in my life going to a game. Mind you, when you're playing football, you really can't go to games because you're playing. You're playing games, you can't go and be a spectator. So we went to the game and watched that. They obviously won, but I got a chance to see where he lived and his family. Met the family. Turn on red. Don't want to do that. Take it in this car. But met the fam, hung out with the fam, mom, dad, little cousins. I'm trying to think if I met his son that time. I might have met his son that time. Shout out to Javion, by the way. I'll give the rest of the kids a shout out later on. Life was a lot different then. But anyway, I went down there, connected with him. You know, his part-time thing at the time was cutting hair. And all these years, he had